What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios for another action-packed episode of A Man and His Bricks. I'm probably gonna have to do a little bit of explaining about what exactly A Man and His Bricks is. I'm pretty sure my subscriber count has about tripled since the last episode of A Man and His Bricks. So this is basically just my podcast. This is where I sit down, hang out with you guys, tell you guys what's on my mind, just kind of go behind the scenes of the Lego channel that I run and kind of talk about me, how I'm doing, what I've been thinking about. Basically kind of like the more cerebral, kind of like thought-invoking side of Lego Star Wars, Lego YouTube, all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. It's not the most popular series on my channel for sure, but it's one that I feel like really helps me kind of digest and process information and express myself. And it seems like some of you guys really do enjoy hearing my thoughts about things. So it's fun. We got a action-packed episode this week. So much has happened. I think more has happened in this last month than anything that's happened to me since starting my YouTube channel. I moved, got a ton of new subscribers on YouTube, starting a new mock soon, got a couple other projects in the works. We got a lot to talk about, guys. So I say it's about time we get into the episode. So I split this podcast into 3 segments. The first is Life of an AFL. That's where I go over what's been happening in my life, kind of like what I've been thinking about, what's been going on with the YouTube, my plans for stuff. Second is a Q&A session. You guys are probably all pretty familiar with how that works. Basically, I give you guys a topic and then you give me questions based on that topic. And then in the next episode, I answer those questions. So last episode, episode 3, I had people give me some questions. I think it was about like Lego YouTubing or Lego Star Wars, something. We'll see when I get to the Q&A section. But then at the end of at the end of the Q&A session for this podcast, I will give you guys the topic for the questions for the next episode. And then the third and final segment is just called YouTubing on a Budget. That's where I go over some kind of piece of technology, equipment, hardware that I have been using for the channel that I really like, that is also really easy to find and really affordable. First things first, Life of an AFL. Let's dive in. So I've got some notes down here because a lot happened and I needed to like, get everything organized and figured out what I wanted to talk about. The first thing I wanted to talk about is moving, what that did for me in my YouTube channel, because it was kind of like the end of an era for Coconut Brick Studios. Utapau had just ended. I was packing everything up, putting everything into a new place and just kind of starting completely fresh, because Utapau took me about 8 months. So I've been working on it since September and I've seen a lot of growth since then. So it almost came like the foundational content of my channel. It was like, Utapau mocks, Utapau streams, Utapau updates, all kinds of things for Utapau, which was fun. But then when that ended and I packed up my Lego studios, kind of like, well, now what? Now what do I do? And so I've taken some time to kind of like sit down and think about how this channel affected me over those past 2 years in that old studio, kind of like what it did to my life. Because to be honest with you guys, this YouTube channel is much more than a hobby for me. This has become something that is an integral part of my life. It is a huge passion project and something that brings me a lot of joy and a lot of fulfillment in life. So I wanted to kind of speak to those things a little bit, because I think it's important to share like what our hobbies and what our interests do for us, to help others see like, okay, this is why he's doing this, and this is what I could expect if I were to do something similar. Or, these are the kinds of things that I get out of my YouTube channel. So there were a few things, and I would say it's been interesting to me to see how my YouTube channel has affected other facets and other aspects of my life. Take, for example, my self-confidence. Since starting YouTube, my self-confidence has skyrocketed. And not in a prideful, I'm better than you way, but like I'm more happy and more at peace with who I am as a person, and I'm much happier with showing who I am as a person. I got the long hair, I had the beard for a while, I build Legos for like a hobby/job, and it's just made me walk differently, interact with other people differently. It just made me so much more confident of a person, because when you're doing something that's fulfilling and when you're doing something that brings you joy, that is one of the byproducts. You feel better about yourself. You feel like, I'm doing something good with my life. And as a result, you act that way around other people. And it's been really cool to see that. And it's helped me, create some good relationships with other people. And it's really helped me be a better person and be kinder and just be more open-minded to other people. My YouTube channel has also definitely brought me a lot of purpose in life. Growing up, I wanted to be a professional basketball player. That's all I wanted to do. I ate, drank, and slept basketball. I loved it. Played in high school, played as a little kid growing up, played a little bit in college in intramural basketball. And so when I kind of had to step away from that because of my job and my marriage and some other things, it really took a toll on me personally of like, okay, now what do I do? What is my identity? Like what is going to make me feel fulfilled in life? Because I wanted to leave an impact on people. I wanted to do something with my life. And up until that point, it really felt like basketball was the only thing I was really good at and the only way I could do that. And so finding this YouTube channel has just been like such a relief and such a breath of fresh air to me, because I've realized so many suppressed passions and desires and wants have now been awakened and have been reflected in my YouTube channel. My ability to make an impact on a community is now returned. I've been able to do building tutorials, help people out who are starting with their YouTube channels, and basically, provide inspiration for some people, which is so humbling and so gratifying. So to those of you who have reached out to me via email, Instagram, or even left comments on my videos telling me how I helped you, how I inspired you to do something, it really means a lot to me, because it helps show me that I am fulfilling my life's purpose to leave an impact and to help and to inspire people. One thing I've really loved doing since I was a little kid is building. I love to create and build all kinds of things. And so now to have finally incorporated that aspect of my life into a hobby and into something that makes money, into something that's so fulfilling, has literally been a dream come true. I kind of stopped building with Lego after a while, because it was like, what else can I do? You can only do so much, and it was only so fulfilling to just like build the set and like set it to the side. And now that I can do mocks, building tutorials, and like create content with that passion, or with that passion of mine, has been really cool. And it's made me really happy. Like I've lived some of the happiest times of my life since starting my YouTube channel. And I'm not doing this to kind of toot my own horn or to show you guys like, oh, look how good my life is. I definitely still go through some hard stuff, last year especially. And I just wanted to share this to show you guys like to share this with you guys, to show you guys like what doing what you're passionate about and what brings you joy will do to your life, and the kinds of things to expect from that. And just to share with you guys, like, I don't know, it's been cool to be on this journey and to experience these things. So I just wanted to share that. The last thing I wanted to talk about as far as like what this YouTube channel has done for me is probably, I would say, one of the coolest, just because it's so incredible. Just the community that I have become a part of. You guys are awesome. You guys are you're my friends. Like, you are the people I hang out with, the people I talk to about stuff, the people I share my builds with. Like, to be part of this community, I think, is so unique to so many other communities on YouTube, just because we are so close knit. We share just this passion and this bond that transcends race, transcends gender, transcends social class, all of it. You know what I mean? We don't talk about our age, how much money we make. We just talk about the Lego. And it's been so cool to interact with you guys and to really get to know a lot of you guys, and to like hang out over on Instagram or on live streams, just anywhere. It's been really cool. And I'm really excited to meet some of you guys when I start going to like the brick fairs and stuff. I think it's gonna be really cool to see you all in person and to kind of hang out like that as well. All right, so that's enough about all the emotional, mental stuff. I kind of want to get into Utapau. Got to talk about that. Wow, what a crazy just experience that was. I think Utapau has been out for about 3 weeks now, and it's coming up on 150,000 views. Huge thank you, huge shout out to you guys who have shared it, who have supported me, who have told people to go check it out. It means so much to me, and I really appreciate it. It's just been so cool to see it grow like this. I honestly had no idea it was going to grow this fast. Like, I had high hopes for it. Obviously, I'd put so much time and work into it that I wanted it to do well, but I just couldn't envision the reception that it would get. And so a couple things about that. It really validated my personal vision for this channel. Back in August of 2019, so 8 months, I think 7 or 8 months after I had started YouTube, my channel was really stagnant, really struggling because I'd mostly been doing reviews and speed builds. I was a very generic YouTube channel at the time, basically doing what everybody else was doing. And I wasn't super happy with the direction of my channel. It felt like it wasn't really growing. I couldn't keep subscribers. Just all in all, wasn't super happy with how things were going. And in one last ditch effort to like figure out what I was going to do and keep the channel going, I decided to get into large scale mock building because I loved large scale mocks. Like I loved looking at, Rich Boy J, Solid Brick Studios, the Brick Wiz, all the legends out there, and seeing what they were doing. And it was so cool to me, and it just seemed like something that I would want to do and something that I could do as well. So I went with Naboo. That was my first large scale mock, and the reception was pretty well. I think that one, it's got like 18,000 views or something, nothing crazy. But I just kept going from there, and I just kept hammering out how I wanted the mock building series to go, how I wanted these mocks to look, and basically molding my channel to turn into, at some point, a mock building channel, where that was like the main theme, and that was the kind of content I would be doing. And with Utapau coming out and doing so well, it's almost like finally a personal revelation of like, yes, I can do this. I can do big things with this, and I can do it really well. Because up until now, to be honest with you guys, I didn't consider myself to be that good of a builder, and I still have a lot to learn. Definitely not where I would like to be, but I just felt like my stuff wasn't professional level. It wasn't at the level that could go viral, that could get really big. And so with Utapau, I was finally able to take a step back from that and really be like, wow, like I can create good things. I can build. And definitely, I know there's a lot of ground for me to still cover, but it was such a relief and just such a joyful moment to realize like that vision that I had for my channel is possible. I could do that someday. I could be there someday. So really excited about that. And that means, from now on, the mocks are going to get bigger and better. I'm really excited for this next project coming up. And that's probably the last thing I'm going to talk about for Life of an AFL. Wanted to give you guys some hints as to what's happening next with my next big mock. So it's going to be taking place during the Clone Wars. I've had a lot of people guessing, and no, it is not Geonosis. I can't tell you how many times I get asked if it's Geonosis. It's not Geonosis. I'm not even going to try and attempt that right now. But it's either going to be taking place at the very beginning or the very end of the Clone Wars. I'm still not 100% sure on that. I think once I officially announce the project, I'm going to like take a poll from you guys and see like, okay, what style of clone trooper, because it's going to be a very specific type of clone trooper that I'm going to be using for this mock, and I can't reveal what it is now, or else that would spoil things. So I have got two types of clone troopers that I'm going to choose from, and probably I'll take your guys' input and help on picking that. But it's going to be pretty cool. This is a mock that's never been done before in large scale ever. I checked. And when you guys see what it is, you'll understand why. It's a pretty crazy project. I'm a little nervous, but I'm mostly excited with how well Utapau did, and with this awesome community behind me. I just feel like I can't fail. Like I know that between us that we will get something figured out. So I'm very happy to tackle that next project, and I will be announcing it very soon. There will be a little gap between me announcing the project and me actually starting it. So there will be a secondary, more side mock project that will be announced in the coming weeks as well. So that'll be in between the two, but stay tuned. Very soon I will be getting back into the building series that you guys are all so familiar with on the channel. That wraps up segment 1, Life of an AFL. I hope that wasn't too confusing and too jumbled. Honestly, one of the reasons why I decided to do a podcast was to help me verbalize what was going on in here and basically be able to orate it in a way that people would understand and that would make sense. So these first few podcasts are going to be pretty rough because honestly I'm not super great at doing that. So I do apologize if it was a little hard to follow, but hopefully things will get better as I continue forward. Okay, next segment is my Q&A segment. Also, I'm still trying to figure out a good, clever name for this Q&A segment. So if you have any cool names, let me know down below in the comments. First question comes from Goofy Brick. He says, great episode. My question is, do you think that Lego Star Wars is dying? Or is Lego just not caring? Like in the UCS Gunship interview with Lon, etc., they said that the minifigs are a bonus, which is very strange to think about. Yes, to be honest, I feel like Lego Star Wars is dying a little bit. And I feel like it has more to do with Lego being at the top of the food chain. They don't have to put as much effort into the set, and it's still going to sell well. Because where else are you going to get buildable Star Wars vehicles, ships, minifigures, you know what I mean? Back in like 2000 to like 2010, those were some rough years for Lego. I don't know how many of you guys know, but Lego almost went bankrupt, and Lego Star Wars saved their bacon. Like, with the success of Lego Star Wars was the reason that they are the powerhouse they are now, in my opinion. And one of the reasons was because they were constantly putting out bigger and better sets. You were getting great minifig selection. They were really, I felt like, reaching and pushing the bounds of what they could build and what they could put out. Whereas now it's like, I mean, we'll put out an X-Wing. People will buy an X-Wing. We'll put out a TIE Fighter. People will buy whatever we put out because we're Lego Star Wars. And so that's unfortunate. But I mean, I think it's inevitable when you're at the top of something and you have no competition, your standards are going to drop a little bit. And I think there may come a point where Lego Star Wars sales start to tank, and they may have to reevaluate things and start to put more effort forth. Next is from Pocket of Poetry. She says, in what ways do you think doing YouTube has changed you as a person, or how have you grown? So I did kind of answer this already in the beginning of the podcast, kind of going on my whole like end of an era reflection. But I would say, you know, probably one of the two biggest takeaways has been my increase in self-confidence and just like being at peace with who I am and being okay with who I am and what I do with my life. I'm very happy and very proud to be a Lego builder, a Lego collector. There was a time where I wouldn't really tell people that I built Legos. Even when I first started the channel, I didn't really talk about my channel, but now I don't, you know, go out and tell everybody, every person I meet, you know, they have to hear about Coconut Brick Studios, but I'm definitely much more willing and much more eager to talk about it. And I'd say the second is I'm much happier. I lead a much happier life than I used to. And I think it's because I'm living a life of purpose now, and I'm living a life of passion. You know, I'm doing what brings me joy, and I'm serving and I'm helping others. And I think those are two of the most important things that you can do in life. So definitely grateful to my channel for bringing those two things back into my life. Next question comes from my man Cheese on Top 17. He says, do you have any favorite Lego stop motions on YouTube from way back? I probably do. I just don't remember the names. There's a really cool Geonosis one. It's the Battle of Geonosis, but it's like Republic Commando. So basically they went through the gameplay of Republic Commando and did it like stop motion style. It was so cool. Like some of that old stop motion is incredible. Like the people at just the skill and just the lengths they went to create these giant sets, because, you know, it was dark brown. It wasn't like they were using like sand green or like tan for Geonosis. So it looked pretty similar. And like they had these big mountains, caves. They like went down into catacombs, just super extensive. So I'd have to say it was that one. I wish I could remember the name of it. Might have to look that one up again. All right, next question comes from Not That Sam Smith. He says, great video. My question on Lego YouTube would be, what is the best way to elevate regular videos into really good content? That's a tough question because, you know, it changes so much based on everybody's channel, because everybody's putting out different kinds of content and different kinds of they have, you know, we all have different kinds of setups. But I would say probably for me, the two things I have done to elevate, the two things I have done to elevate my content would be improving the audio and improving the video. And I don't necessarily mean buying a better camera. I mean improving the look of the shot. So you can see I've got a nice background behind me. I've got some shelves, boxes, sets. Making sure you've got a nice background is a big deal, guys. Like if you just have like a cupboard behind you, or like, you know, I don't know, a door with like a towel draped on it or something, it's not going to look as good. And even if you're, you know, you're only filming in 1080 or 720, if you have like a very nice setup behind you and it's well lit, it's going to look really well, and it's going to go a long way to making your videos look more professional, and it's going to go a long way to people taking you more seriously. I want to give a shout out and an example. UCS Productions. He has been putting a lot of time and effort into making his backdrop and making his studio look good. And I think it's going to pay off big time for him when he figures out what kind of content he wants to do. And once he starts cranking out those videos, if you have a professional looking backdrop and set up that as the first step to, like, you know, putting out a good professional video, because if you look good and if you feel good in your environment, then that's going to be portrayed in the video. So I totally understand, you know, you can't always buy the shelves, buy all the sets, get the cool lights and the cameras. I guess my advice would be take a look at what you're currently working with and see like, how can I make this a few times better? One thing I have done is actually I turn off my light and I only light up my shot with lamps. This gives you a much dimmer light, and you can see, like I'm looking at my light right now, it's still well lit, but it is kind of dark too. And I kind of like that. I think having too much light will definitely take away from your shot. So maybe try, turning off your main light and just using light lamps and stuff to your lighting setup. And then as for audio, I would say like if you don't have like some kind of microphone, even just a cheap $5 lavalier microphone, that'll go a long way. If people can hear you clearly and hear you well, it'll make people more interested and want to sit through the video longer. But that is a really good question. Hopefully I was able to answer that. It's really hard, to give people good advice, especially when I'm still trying to figure out my own setup. Okay, final question comes from my boy SW Bricks and Figs. He says, great episode. Love these videos. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I really relate with a ton of things you said about being competitive and stuff. It's interesting to see. You should call the Q&A cranking with coconut. Okay, there we go. We got a suggestion. My question, what is your least favorite part of the video making process? My least favorite part, this is going to sound kind of weird, but it's actually filming the video, because I'm an extreme perfectionist. And the annoying thing about perfectionism is it will make you a procrastinator. If I don't feel like I'm in the best mental state, or if I haven't worked out, or if I haven't showered, or if my room's messy, slightly messy at all, it will cause me to not want to film, because I feel like, oh, I can't put out the best video possible. So instead of putting out a good video, I don't do anything at all. And so for me, it's really hard for me to get all set up, film the video. I really have trouble talking, stumble over my words a lot. I fumble with my words. And so I often have to do quite a few takes to get the video out. I love the editing process. I love setting up the video, doing lighting and stuff. I love building things for the video. I love so many aspects of video making, but the actual sitting down and filming it is just so hard to me, because it has to be so perfect. And the frustrating thing is a lot of these things don't even matter to people. It's like, oh, I'm like 1/8 of an inch this way, I'm gonna have to refilm the video, or like it's just a tad too bright. And it's just those little things that I'm trying to like overcome and work through so that I can start putting out more videos, because it definitely affects how many videos I can put out. If I'm like, well, I won't be able to put out the perfect video right now, so I'm just not going to do it. So I'm trying to get better at like, look, just put out the best video you can right now. It may not be as good as you would have liked, but you got the practice in, you got the video out, you're still creating that good uploading schedule. So that's probably the toughest or my least favorite. Thank you guys for the great questions. Honestly, these were all perfect questions. Each one of you guys, huge shout out. Thank you. You guys nailed it with the questions. For my next Q&A series, it's going to be kind of a special one. I'm actually going to be having Mrs. Coconut on the podcast as a guest. So all of your questions are going to be for her, such as what it's like being the wife of a Lego YouTuber, what she feels about Lego, does she enjoy Lego, basically what her thoughts are. Go wild with the questions. Obviously keep things appropriate, but that'll be coming out next episode. And that brings me to my final segment of the episode, and that is YouTubing on a budget. I got something real good for you guys for this one, and it's something you guys have probably seen a lot of recently if you've been keeping up with my room tour or my Lego room mini series. And what I'm going to be talking about today is the IKEA Ivar system. So the IKEA Ivar system, or Ivar shelves, are basically these shelves that are behind me, and the shelves that I have been using to put my bulk parts on. The reason I go with Ivar shelves is for 3 reasons. First is they look really good and they're very high quality. It's very strong, very sturdy wood, but very light as well, so they are mobile. Second is they're environmentally friendly. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. You're not getting some giant gross plastic shelves that are just never gonna be broken down, or just gonna look really bad after a few years and fade. And third is they are very budget friendly. And what I mean by that is, for starters, they're cheap, because you can buy the whole shelf like this. You can buy it in a kit, or you can buy the individual components. You can literally buy these individual shelves, and then you buy the individual posts. The shelves vary from like $8 to $12 each, and then the posts I think are like the same, $8 to $12. So the thing that I really like about that is, if you don't have a ton of money right now, you can just buy one section of this shelf. You know what I mean? You can buy 2 posts and 4 shelves. save up some more money, add on to those shelves so you don't have to buy the entire kit all at once. And as your Lego room changes and adapts, you can take some shelves apart, add different size shelves, different shapes. Just overall, it's basically like Lego, but for shelves. So I really like how customizable they are too. If any of you guys are interested in the shelves, I will put a link down below in the description. I got this idea from Solid Brick Studios. He was kind of like, it seems like the pioneer in the Lego community of using the Ivar shelf, and I kind of took it and modified it to my own specifications. So definitely shout out and thank you to Solid Brick Studios for that idea. Well guys, that wraps up another episode of A Man and His Bricks. This one went pretty well. Started out a little rough in the beginning. I got kind of like a headache or kind of like a muddy brain today, so it was kind of hard to formulate my thoughts, but hopefully it wasn't too confusing. I really enjoyed this. I'm excited to see what you guys give me for questions for the next episode, and stay tuned. It'll be coming out soon, and I have good things coming to the channel. So don't forget to leave a question down below for Mrs. Coconut for next episode. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any future content. But until next time, happy building.